Hello and welcome to episode 25 of the Genre Blender podcast, where we explore what makes stories stick from the page to the screen. My name is Ryan.
I'm Kris, and we are joined once again by Michael and Jack, so thank you so much for being here. And I don't know if you can see Jack's background, but we are here to discuss K-Pop Demon Hunters as a group, so that should be entertaining across the board.
Absolutely. So this is a movie that I actually don't know who out of both of you who told me to watch it first. I think it might have been Michael, but I know Jack's also been telling me to watch it. So.
I think we spoke about it on the episode that Michael was on, and then we decided collectively that we were going to go ahead and watch it.
Nice.
So we've also had some homework for this episode. Fun homework.
Wait, how many times have everyone watched it? Now.
4.
Okay, I've done two watches.
I've amazingly only watched it once, but I've seen like clips of it like about 48,000 times. So I don't know how many watches that makes up.
This will be like the first relevant topic that we've had that is quite timely on the podcast. So amazing.
I had watched it 2 times before Ryan asked me if I wanted to join today.
Fair. I've watched it a single time, but I have watched some other stuff, which we'll talk about in a little bit.
Yes, expanded homework that I'm very glad that you got onto.
Assigned by Michael, yes, exactly. Speaking of, so let's do a little brief read, watch, play update, just because that's always fun to see what everyone else is up to, and to share that, and then we'll jump right in. But yeah, who would like to start? Maybe, do you want to kick us off, Kris, and then we'll go round?
Yeah, sure. I'll just do a quick one. I haven't been doing a whole lot of read-watching and playing bar K-Pop Demon Hunters, which I've watched twice since the last episode. But I am reading Jamaica Inn by Daphne du Maurier. It's a very old leather-bound copy. I've got about 30 pages of that to go. It is a product of its time, with some of the beliefs and language that we have about women in this particular book. But it's, I guess, sort of magical realism, mystery, thriller, horror of that time. I think it was released in 1936, so very flowery prose. Enjoying it quite a lot, and I should finish that one today. And then in terms of playing, I've been playing a game that's come out on early access called Grimshire, which is like a cozy horror game. So it's like Stardew Valley with super high and devastating stakes, which I am addicted to. I've played about 12 hours in the last 2 weeks since it's come out.
Wow.
I'm fairly sure I'm about to kill the whole village accidentally. Because I don't have enough.
Accidentally. Sure.
I don't have enough provisions in the root cellar to feed this fucking town who's decided to rely on this bear that's just wandered into their shores. But that's it. That's it for me.
Nice. Michael.
Reading nothing. I've been very lax on reading, but I do have jury duty starting tomorrow, so I'm bringing my Kobo to there. So I assume I'm going to do some reading there while I wait.
Have you ever done jury duty before?
I've been summoned once before. Maybe like 17 years ago, maybe.
Oh wow.
And I was in there for like a few hours. I got to like the courtroom stage, and I didn't get picked onto the jury, and then went back to like the waiting room, and then like half an hour later they were like, cool, we don't need you anymore, you can go home and you don't need to come back. So I was there for like 3 hours total, and then that was it. Yeah, who knows what tomorrow's going to be like. But outside of that, I recently watched an old John Travolta film called Blowout, which is just amazing. It's been on my watch list for like a million years. Really, it's a older Brian De Palma film from the 70s about a John Travolta's character is, I can't remember the term, but he records like Foley audio for film. So he goes around and like he's recording like different stuff. And while he's on like one of these recording sessions late at night, he witnesses an accident. And the accident happens to kill the upcoming best nominee for president of the US. And, you know, conspiracy unravels from there. Very, very good film. Highly recommend it. And games-wise, probably too much of Ryan's chagrin, I've actually started playing Dragon Quest 3 HD 2D. Because I just got the patch on Switch 2, which actually makes it playable on Switch now.
Yep.
And yeah, it's great. I'm really enjoying it so far. Like, it's very old school. Like, the combat is like basically autopilot.
Yeah.
But I'm intrigued to see like where it goes. Have you played any of it yet, Ryan?
Yeah, I've played quite a few hours. I actually took it to Japan with me and then just didn't play it because we obviously were doing other things. But I did also just download the patch to try it out, and it's stunning, and I'm just in love with it. So yeah, you'll probably end up finishing it before I will, but that's okay.
I doubt it.
It's amazing that they patch it in rather than make it a separate purchase.
Yeah, Square's all over the place with that right now. Yeah. Like, they've done all of the options to not supporting it to like an actual proper Switch 2 edition. So I don't know what their stance is. It's just a shotgun approach.
Yep.
But I just was playing it today, and I became king for a day. I don't know if you've done that.
Yeah,
in the game.
that's fun.
I was like, "What is happening? I don't understand." It's so cool.
That's
just
so
to
much
walk around
power to
and
put in
be
one's
king for a day.
hands.
Yeah.
That's
there's little Easter eggs like that in there. Cool. Nice. Jack.
Me. What have I been doing? So playing. I started playing Baldur's Gate 3 again because I played it on release but never got past Act 1 because I got distracted and then didn't remember what was happening, and then I tried to play it again a couple of times and never quite sunk in.
Me as well. Yep.
But last weekend I had 2 days where I had no obligation, so I sat down and knuckled down until I made it to halfway through Act 2. So I'm actually playing it. I'm like, let's get Act 3, let's do it. And then in between that, I've been playing a recently released, I guess you'd call it, indie game called Day of the Shell, which is, it's a tactical roguelike deck builder, which is just all of the hype words. Basically, it's sort of like XCOM style combat where you like tactics move around a map, but then you get lots of pick threes, which upgrades do you want to do, and there's meta progression and stuff like that. Good brain dead fun that I can play whilst watching things. Putting my Steam Deck to good use.
Nice.
As for reading, kind of topical, but I've been reading the reading order of the Spider-Verse comics. So specifically because I want to learn about the animal totems. I don't know if any of you know about. So in one of the comic series of Spider-Man, they sort of explain the reason that there's, Rhino, Vulture, Spider-Man, all these animal-themed heroes is because they're linked to like mystical totems of each animal in every universe. Huh. And I only have a vague understanding of it. Like, I want to understand it, but it's scattered across so many different comic runs. So I'm following someone else's reading order trying to understand it. So that's been fun. And the reason it's slightly topical is because the Spider-Verse movie is Sony Animation Studios and one of the directors of this one. And I've been listening to the audiobook of Name of the Wind by Patrick Rothfuss.
Oh, nice.
I've read both of the books and the novella twice. Still waiting for the third book. If anyone knows, he's been sitting on his hands for 12 years, 13 years or something.
We don't talk about it.
Even listening to the audiobook, I'm still hyped. I'm like, yes, this is a great story.
It's
I want to.
It's not gonna happen, man.
I know.
Which narrator are you listening to?
Whichever one is on Audible.
There's
more than
both.
one?
Yeah, there's two. There's the UK one and the US one.
Yeah.
I think Jim Dale. No, I'm making that up. I can't remember the name of the person who does both of them.
Yeah.
That's so interesting. I didn't realize it was two. I also listened to the audiobook. Well, I did an immersive read of it, so I listened to it as well, and it was great. The audiobook's fantastic. I think that was the American one. I think
I would assume I'm on the American one from thinking about his voice.
It happens pretty often where, like, depending on the region, they just have two different publishers, right? So they just do the independent recording.
Yeah.
But yeah, been enjoying that. That's my bedtime read because I like to not look at things while I'm trying to sleep. Go insomnia. And what's the last one? Watching. I have been watching lots of different things. K-pop Demon Hunters, apparently, a lot.
Good stuff.
Yeah, it's probably going to be my number one watch movie for the year just because of this.
Yeah. I think for a lot of people too.
Yeah. But I've been watching Grimm, the
TV show.
Old TV show. Well, I say old, like early 2000s.
It's old.
Yeah.
We're old.
It's now 2025.
Yeah.
Shock for many of us.
It's like watching
Many
like
times.
an 80s or late 70s TV show in the 90s. So
Yeah.
100% is old.
Thanks for that, Michael.
Yeah, no worries.
But it's a procedural about grim fairy tales in the modern day and a guy that's supposed to hunt them, but he's kind of befriends some of them. It's good brain dead fun.
Nice. Yeah, I've not heard of that one.
No.
Cool. Awesome. Cool. Well, I've been reading The Stand finally, Chris. I'm halfway through it.
Nice.
You'll be happy to know. So yes, it's
You
been
are
a real
powering
page turner for
through
me. I
that.
haven't actually. Yeah, I know.
Considering it's
really
like,
not
do you have
typical.
the unabridged or do you have the abridged version?
No, the unabridged. Yeah,
Yes,
the
it's
1990s
1,300
one. So,
pages of
yeah,
goodness in there.
yeah,
I
almost.
didn't even know there wasn't a bridge version of it.
Yeah, I didn't until Chris told me. But no, I bought it without even knowing. But no, it's fantastic. It's I have not been able to put it down. So yeah, that's been like a week. It's like it's 600 pages odd.
Peak Stephen
yeah.
King.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So that's what my fifth or something, sixth book, and there's what 50 something to go. So
Like
anyway,
70 books now. He's just released another one.
who knows?
He's got one at the end of the year too, so it's 2 or
Great.
3 books
More.
a year. No pressure on
Is
this
it-
project that you've given yourself.
I know.
That has a TV adaptation, right? The Stand?
I'm just going to assume
there's 2.
everything does.
There's 2, yeah. There's a
Yeah.
90s one, and there's a one from like 4 years ago.
Yeah.
Roughly. Yeah.
I really liked the 90s one.
Yeah,
I
same.
didn't enjoy the newer one as much.
I've not seen the new one.
I'll give it a shot. I'm pretty sure I've seen the newer one, at least a little bit of it. I'll try the 90s one.
I think the 90s one was quite true to form to the book. Anyway, sorry, Ryan. Carry on.
Yeah, cool. No,
I got
I'm
excited.
looking forward to, to watching it too. That's good. So I've been reading nothing but that. For watching, yeah, obviously K-pop Demon Hunters. I watched it once, and then I also watched from Michael's recommendation, and like just probably everybody telling me to watch the damn movie, the Spider-Verse, well, the first one. So I watched Into the Spider-Verse. Discovered that I'd actually purchased it, I don't know how long ago, but it was in my library. So I was like, oh, okay, I intended to watch this a long time ago and never did. We'll talk more about it in comparison probably in the discussion, but the short version is I freaking loved it. I messaged Michael afterwards and I just said, holy shit, this might be like the best animated film that I've ever seen. And I should amend that by saying Western animated film, because obviously, like, you know, there's so many Japanese animation that.
And then I asked Brian if they'd watched the second one, and they said no. And I was like, well, buckle the fuck up.
So I've watched half of it now, right? And so animation wise, amazing, but story wise, I don't like. I'm not finished yet, so I got tired last night. I didn't get to finish it, and I will watch it. It's great, but I think that the first one's still so far still better. But we'll see. We'll talk about it more in a little bit. But anyway, look, I did the extended homework and enjoyed it, so thank you for that recommendation. And then for playing, I've been playing a little bit of Donkey Kong Bonanza.
Yeah, boy.
Yeah, I played about 5 hours or so. Steph is playing it more than I am because she's in love with it, like well and truly. So I'm lucky if I get a chance to play it. But from what I have played, it's pretty phenomenal. So great game, and way bigger in scope than I expected it to be.
Yeah,
not that I
by the
expected it to be
Mario
small,
Odyssey
but
team. So
yeah, and I've not played Odyssey either. I've got that to play on Switch too, which is great, right? The
Odyssey was so good.
yeah, I know. Yeah. So I've got lots of gems to go through on the Switch too, which is great.
Odyssey
But
got
yeah.
a Switch 2 update as well, which increases
I know.
res and everything, and it looks very nice now.
I wasn't
I'm
interested in
kinda
the
glad I
Switch
didn't
2
play it on
until
Switch.
Donkey Kong came out. I'm like, nah.
Yeah. 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 Anyway, that's what I've been doing. So now let's have a little bit of a. I'll intro the movie that we're going to be talking about today, and then we'll dive right into like a roundtable discussion of it and all the things that make it so special and why we've chosen to even bother doing an episode on it in the first place. So we'll be talking about K-pop Demon Hunters, which is I'm sure everybody knows this at this point, but it's a 2025, this year, animated musical action fantasy film. It's produced by Sony Pictures Animation and directed by Maggie Kang and Chris Applehans, and it's available to watch on Netflix. And it follows the K-pop girl group trio Huntrix, whose members are Rumi, Mira, and Zoe. as they sing and perform some banging tunes by day and hunt demons by night, and maintain the Honmoon barrier that protects the world from these demons. There's all sorts of stuff going on. There's a rival boy band. There's some personal trials and tribulations and so on. And an exploration of some pretty heartfelt themes as well. So we'll go through all of those. But from this point, there will be spoilers. So just as an FYI to anybody listening to this, if you're interested in watching it and you haven't yet, if there's anyone left on this planet that hasn't watched it, go watch it first, because we don't want to spoil it for you. It's pretty special. But there will be spoilers as we talk about it. So just be warned. This is the first and only warning for that. But I wanted to start by reading a little bit of a review from RogerEbert.com of all places. They're not one to usually do necessarily animated movies, but I thought this one was quite fitting, just as a little bit of an intro to I guess the points that we'll touch on. So they say, since its release in mid-June, this Sony animation adventure flick has become one of the biggest original hits in the history of the streaming service. As of this writing, and this was just a few days ago, it sits comfortably right behind Happy Gilmore 2 and its predecessor, which would be incredible if it had come out 3 days ago, but it is far more remarkable for a film that's over a month old. Nothing stays long in the spotlight on Netflix because of the speed of its revolving door of content, so why has K-pop Demon Hunters become immortal? Fans are clearly watching it on repeat, attracted to its catchy tunes, inventive visuals, and personal resonance. More than just another lazy animated streaming project, K-pop Demon Hunters is emotionally empowering in ways that have made it a cross-demo hit. I thought that was quite apt to what we'll probably be touching on. We'll go through a few different things. I want to go through our initial impressions first and then progress through, things like the story, the characters, the animation, the music, and so on. But just to kick us off, what did everyone think about this film as your initial impressions? Where did you come across it? Was it everyone else recommending it to you? Did you discover it on your own? What was that? And then what did you think about it? You can fight over who can start. Go for it.
Someone sent me a TikTok. Sorry, jumped right in there.
Go for it.
And I didn't know what the TikTok was from. I'm not on TikTok. I'm not cool enough to be there. And I had no idea what was happening. And it was one of my friends who reads straight up Dirty Smart, and it was the scene of the boy band, the first one where they're like, oh yeah, that's gonna work, and I was like, what is this thing? And then that was my first, I guess, visual of K-pop Demon Hunters, and I heard some of the music just banging around on the internet, and then I wanted to be a hater so bad. I was saying off camera that I was like, I'm not huge into animation, or I haven't been. Probably this year has been the first year where I've started to delve into it a little bit more, and I really, really loved it. The first both watches that I had, I was like, nah, now I'm a convert to K-pop and demon hunting. I thought it was surprisingly deep for a movie that is quite accessible for a huge age range.
Yeah, agreed. Did you watch it on the plane like you said you would?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. And then you watched it not on the plane.
I'm a chronic phone watcher, I'm so sorry. I watched it on my phone again yesterday. It hurts Michael every time.
It hurts me.
I've never watched a single movie or an episode of TV on my phone in my entire life.
I don't think I have either, Michael. Yeah, I knew that about you because obviously, but I don't think I have either. Yeah.
To the viewers out there that don't know me, I'm very much an elitist piece of shit. Just putting it out there.
Self-professed. Cool. So, Michael, where'd you discover it, and what do you think?
Yeah, so I touched on this a couple of podcasts ago when I was on, but I'd seen just a poster art come out about it, and it was coming soon to Netflix, and I saw that it was by Sony Pictures Animation, and I didn't watch any trailers for it. I was like, yeah, it looks sweet, sure, it just looks like a dumb film that I'll enjoy on a weekend or whatever. I'll check it out. And then I brought up the Rotten Tomatoes reviews for it on the weekend that it came out. I think it came out on Friday or Thursday, I can't remember. And it was getting rave reviews from audiences and critics. And I was like, damn, okay. that's interesting. Yeah, then I just sat down and watched it. And I think I said on the previous podcast, they dropped a banger track within the first 5 minutes of the film. And I was hooked after that. They knew how to tap into my soul immediately.
Yeah.
Because that is, yeah, it was incredible. And I enjoyed every minute of it. The 1 hour and 39 minutes or whatever it is that it goes for. Absolutely amazing.
Nice. Jack?
So I had a bit of a unique intro because I had heard nothing about it until it was released. But on release day, I had a friend message me and say, "Hey, can I use your Netflix login to watch this movie?" Because they didn't have Netflix, they were skint, but they really wanted to see it. And I was like, "Oh, what's this?" I'm sure, whatever. But then as soon as I'd watched it, I went and then watched it, and I almost turned it off in the first couple of minutes. But I'm so glad that I didn't. Before the first song hits.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Wow, it starts so quickly.
Yeah, I was going to say, yeah.
It was the traditional mythology intro that was sort of like slowing it down too much. I was like, I don't think I'm in the mood for this.
Fair.
Yeah. How about you, Ryan? Was it on the podcast?
Yeah, it was both of you. I think pretty closely. You both told me to watch it. I think Michael, it was you first on the actual episode, and then I'm pretty sure you mentioned it as well, Jack. I can't remember. Yeah. Anyway, but yeah, I watched it just because of your recommendations, because I'm notorious for just ignoring anything mainstream. So I rely on the people that know what I like to recommend me stuff that I should watch, because I just ignore everything and do my own thing. Yeah. But I'm so glad that I did, because it's fucking phenomenal. But I wouldn't normally watch something like this. Like, if somebody hadn't told me to watch it, I would have just completely just ignored it entirely. Not like, even if I did find myself browsing through Netflix or whatever, and I don't typically do that, but even if I did, I would look at that and just skip right past it. Yeah. But now, and we'll come back to this in a little bit, but now having watched the Spider-Verse movies and knowing what Sony Pictures Animation can do and how special that is, they would be now ones to look out for. That I will actually go seek them out. So yeah, but it was.
I told you to watch Mitchell's vs. the Machines as well, right?
You did, and I have not watched that one yet. Yeah,
perfect.
That one, I was reading about it as well in my homework that I did. That one was supposed to come out in theaters, but it didn't because it was during COVID, right? So it went straight.
It went under the radar so hard. I didn't hear about it until it way later released on streaming. I think I just randomly came across it one day, or I saw an article about it or something. And it's equally as good. It's an amazing film. Like, it does not get the recognition it deserves at all.
Was that Sony Animation as well?
Yeah.
Pardon? Yeah, it has the same
Animation,
style.
Yeah, I remember because I watched it randomly when it came out, Mitchell and the Machines. I just saw it come up. It was like, new release. I was like, oh yeah, I feel like an animated film, put it on. And I was like, wow, Sony Animation is really putting in some good work. And then,
yeah,
look where we are now.
I think especially at a time, and we'll talk about this when we talk about the animation properly, but like when like Disney and Pixar aren't really doing a lot at the moment, like I think it really kind of shows when you do have a studio that's doing something amazing like this, it really stands out. Yeah. And obviously we've seen how popular it can be, and it's taken the world by storm, so it's kind of unreal.
Imagine if this becomes the next Frozen. Like K-pop Demon Hunter.
I think,
I was thinking about it earlier today. I was like, maybe this has the potential to be that for this generation.
I believe someone at Netflix has said that this might be their Frozen, like as an actual quote.
As of like 3 or 4 days ago, it was already their #1 animated film on the platform, period.
Yeah.
Including other, like, not their own stuff. Like, it's just hands down, like, just breaking records.
And 2 and 3 have already been greenlit.
Yeah, I saw that a couple days ago.
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about the story, the characters, the themes in it first. Just as a film, what is it doing that makes it so special? What resonated with you? What did you think of the characters? I think before we get into things like the animation and the technical stuff of what it's doing, let's talk about the actual story. So I'll kick us off, because basically, like, the things that stood out for me in this movie that made it special, that made me really take notice, I think it's really a couple of things, because it does do a lot of, like, there are a lot of tropes that we've seen before. It's not doing anything necessarily new. I think it comes down to how it's done it. how it actually executed on those tropes that we know and love, and sort of not subverted them necessarily, but played around with them a little bit. But it was really two things that stood out. So one was the celebration of Korean culture and mythology, because that's super, like, I don't see that really in anything, and I'm not well versed in Korean mythology or even Korean culture, like, like daily culture today either, but, and certainly not K-pop, by the way. I'm not someone who listens to K-pop really at all, or any kind of pop music. Again, goes to show how much this surprised me and everybody. But I think, yeah, the showing the Korean mythology as part of it and really celebrating that, even things like the clothing, like the traditional clothing that they wear, the hanbok, the hats as well that you've seen with the Saja boys, and a lot of the demons, the bright colors, like it was a visual style that's you just don't really see in any kind of mainstream anything. So that really was definitely noticeable. That was one thing I definitely noticed at the beginning. But then I think also the female characters, and having a trio of really kind of awesome butt-kicking female characters that have a lot of complexity from an animated film, like, that was cool to see as well. So they're the two standout things. But what does everyone else take away from the story, the characters, or the themes?
For me, it was I really liked how they were exploring the what we show people compared to what we feel inside.
Yeah.
Like the demons are controlled by these negative emotions that they've had, but so are the girls. So are the Huntrix girls. They have all these negative things inside that penultimately used to control them at the end, by the demon, who I can't remember the demon's name. But this whole thing of confronting, these negative emotions and not having to get rid of them. It's a big theme of, like, she wants to get rid of her patterns, but it's not getting rid of them. It's accepting them and accepting part of who you are to be a complete and unique person, which I found really, really spectacular. There's a little bit of a visual cue for this, and we'll probably get into this when we talk about animation. But the honeymoon, they want to make it golden, which shows perfection. But at the end, when it's healed, it's multicolored.
Yes,
it's like a rainbow, which is a really good visual representation of that whole idea: seeking perfection, but reveling in complexity.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the themes, right? The standout is the themes, and something that everyone can resonate with, because you can imagine, like, younger kids watching a film like this and seeing these really, strong butt-kicking women who are awesome, and, these banging tunes, and, like, I don't know, kind of like a role model, like you said with Frozen, that's obviously very similar to that. But then you can also appreciate it, like three dudes basically, or four, all of us, four dudes. And we're all kind of enjoying it as well. So, like, it's so diverse in what you can find from it and enjoy.
Yeah, I really, it really sticks in my head, Zoe, the bubbly one with the buns, when she says, "I'm too much and not enough." That is, like, ingrained into my brain. I was like, gave me shivers when it came up, but I was like, that's such good representation for I know it's a very common feeling for so many people, and having that up on screen shown as an insecurity was fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Agreed.
I really like the duality of, and I got different things out of it. So I watched it twice. The first time I was just like, wow, this is amazing. And then the second time I got more from it, looking deeper into the themes. And the tiger, who I think is named Deppy or Derpy, in my brain it's Derpy.
Derpy and Sussy.
Yeah, I don't think they officially have names. It's just that they've been fan named.
Well, I mean, apt for that character. But the tiger, I believe, is a mythological being. They're real, but they're both feared and worshipped in different scenarios. And I got that theme of the duality of us as humans. We're multifaceted. There are different sides to us, and we see Rumi really resonate with. There are different parts of her that she's hidden because she's told by a parental figure, being Celine, that she has to. And, like, the mantra, this is what I picked up when I watched it yesterday, is that you need to hide these parts of yourself, and it's repeated by the girls as a group, so that that generational trauma almost coming down to you're not allowed to show these things, and that power that gets built up through these girls as they learn about themselves, and they're very fearful of the darker sides of them, but then ultimately come to go, that's part of me. And I think we all can resonate with that in different ways, and what we take from it is going to be very much depicted by our worldview and our life experiences, and that's what makes it so special, is we can all take something from it. As an example, there was a scene with Rumi towards the end, and Celine is going, up, you're all good, fine, we'll just get that golden honeymoon, don't even worry about it, no one's going to notice. And she's like got all the demon patterns up her body, and it really reminded me of something that happened to me in early transition, which is not something that other people are going to take from this movie, but it is a way for us all to relate to something that may not be related, but we're all going to take something different from it. I thought that was really cool. That was my favorite sort of takeaway from the themes.
Yeah, I think what the story does really well is showing you that all the girls have this level of generational trauma in some capacity, but particularly Rumi has this actual physical manifestation of her trauma with her patterns, and how she's been trying to hide it her entire life. And I think with anyone who's watching this film who has had any type of trauma, they would understand what it feels like to try and constantly hide that from the world. But it gets to a point where, like, it doesn't matter the level of barrier that you've built, it starts cracking through. And I think you get to see that for the most part, that entire journey throughout the film, up until the very end, where she, spoilers, finally accepts who she is.
Yeah. Yeah, I love, just going back to what Jack was saying, it related to that, Michael, like, I love that there's, like, visual cues for all of this stuff. It's actually really clever how they've done all of this and tied it into the story, because it's really quite hard to pick it apart layer by layer, because when we're talking about the story, it ties into the animation and the way that they've done that, the art, and how they've added those visual symbols almost to represent that stuff. It's quite clever. I'm actually in awe of the complexity of the movie.
The number one paradigm of film storytelling is show, don't tell. This movie nails it, absolutely nails it in every capacity throughout the entire film. I think it's such a great... You can do an entire analysis on how they don't really need to tell you what's going on. I think one of the best ones, just sidetrack for a minute, is that the entire first 5 minutes of the film, including the first song, is them showing us exactly who Huntrix are, how successful they are. They're at the peak of their journey. So many movies would start off these characters at the beginning of their journey, right, as they're moving into like the musical world.
Like a more slow burn as well, but this
Huntrix is there. They're at the top. They're done. Yeah. They're almost completed their goal, and they do that in the first 5 minutes by showing us how fucking incredible they are. And it's so
with a banging
good.
soundtrack to boot.
I will say, like, the first, I think it's 12 minutes, because I timed it yesterday. We had everything we needed as an audience member to set us up for the next hour and a half. Like, every concept had been introduced within that first 12 minutes. Well, so as an audience member, I'm now actively engaged in the progression of all of those things.
Yep. Yeah, 100%. And it's very much not an origin story. Like, all of that, like you said, it is done. And I love that, because I really don't like usually origin movies in, like, superhero movies.
What do you mean? You haven't gone to see Superman 487 that's in the cinema right now?
That's not an origin story. I did want to say...
We'll talk later.
The patterns. I just wanted... There's something that, now my fourth watch, there's something that was sort of ruminating in my head, but I'm not even sure if I'm quite sure yet. But just the fact that they're called patterns and not demon markings or demon scarring or things like that.
Yeah.
It's the idea of this traumatic pattern of behavior. They're doing the same thing over and over again, which is sort of driving them deeper and deeper into their trauma. And I feel like that must have been intentional, calling them patterns, because it seems like a bit of an odd choice.
Yeah, I noticed that too. I think it's very, like, self-accepting, isn't it? Because we're all like if you think of us all as a whole bunch of patterns built different ways, like with this, we're all different, but we all have them in some way. Like if you read it that way, I think that's very intentional, right? I love that too.
Yeah.
Very cool. I just wanted to go back to the derpy tiger for a minute because I lost it.
Yeah.
And the bird got me a couple of times. Like the same point twice. I had a good laugh out loud. I was like, no, it got me again. I knew it was funny the first time.
Oh, before I forget, I'm going to butcher this lore. So if someone out there wants to correct me, please do. But I was looking into this. Both the bird and the tiger are part of some type of Korean lore. I can't remember the name. There's some type of traditional paintings that depict both of them together quite a bit, and I can't remember the word for them.
Yeah.
Right, the bird and tiger together.
Yeah, they're linked together. Yeah.
Right.
And the bird is specifically a magpie, which I didn't even know that magpies were in Korea.
Wow. It's education.
I wonder if they're nicer than they are in Australia.
Probably.
That's my generational
Almost
trauma.
guaranteed.
Magpies.
Yeah. The derpy tigers keep him in check.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the relationship right there. I loved that it wasn't like a funny movie either. Like it wasn't, you wouldn't call it a comedy, but like the moments of humor were actually perfect.
And they were so
very
well timed.
well timed.
Yeah.
The pacing of the whole thing was very good.
Yeah, I felt I guess when it comes to pacing, just to touch on that a moment, because I feel like that's the only criticism I have for it, which is it was mostly fast paced, but there were moments that did drag a little bit that I felt, and some of them were those demon scenes as well, the one you mentioned at the beginning, Jack, but throughout as well there were a couple, but I'm picking at that point because most of it was just done really well. But it was quite fast paced, and it is quite a short film as well. So I think that helps, and makes it more accessible to everyone as well. But I think it actually told its story really well, and there was a clear, beginning, middle, and end, and a conclusion at the end of it. But there really was like stakes as well, and I think it really kind of leaned into that in a way that we could all relate to and make it human. So, I mean, like all good stories, it's really about, what it is to be human and to be, to accept yourself and even though it's a story about demons, it always comes back. It's like good sci-fi. It's always about, human nature.
Yeah, I'm still not sure where I am on the pacing. Like, I felt like it could have benefited from like another 15 minutes of runtime, where a little bit more fleshed out, a little bit more coherent.
What I read is that I think it got edited a little. Not obviously, editing is what it is. Yeah. But I think it got edited a little bit hard just to keep it within like a kid-friendly Netflix.
Yeah.
Like, the attention span of the younger audience.
Yeah. And it's so frantic. The editing, like the majority of it, the editing is so frantic. I was looking at the soundtrack, and the songs that are all within the movie itself add up to just shy of, I think it's 27 minutes. Which is almost a third of the runtime. Yeah. When you take out credits and stuff like that. So, and I don't know if you noticed, but all of the songs are edited as actual music clips, right? Like the editing of them is like jump cuts and like different angles and different things happening.
Yeah.
That was really cool. I love that aspect of it.
I really enjoyed that, but the such a big chunk of the film to be edited like that, and then other parts of the film to also be edited like that, it is very... I specifically put it on. I had a friend that had an emotional overwhelm, and she hadn't seen it yet. And I said, let's put this on because it's very like intense, but also you can zone out to it because of the frantic pacing. Like it sort of like has a rhythm to it, and it really, really worked.
Do you think that?
You mentioned that to me, not your friend, but like how you were putting it on the background, Jack. And and my initial reaction was just like, really? But actually, now that I've watched it and I'm thinking about it, it's like, that is a thing. Yeah, I can see myself doing that, to be honest.
It's the same way that I watch Pitch Perfect 600 times.
I was thinking about that quick and choppy pacing, particularly for an animated film. Do you think that's also reflective of our attention spans as new generations come in to watch these films? As they want that real fast information, that really quick choppy and changing. You're not going to keep my attention if you have a 3-minute monologue anymore. Not back in our days when we were watching King Lear, whatever the.
If I could be so bold, I think that's more Netflix than Sony Pictures Animation than anything else.
Also, I think I mean, there was two directors, but Maggie Kang, this was her directorial debut, and I think that might have had something to do with it as well. Like the overall vision was great, but there was some things like that could have been picked up more with time, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, interesting. I think there is something to that though, to your point, Chris, because I think like it is very modern. It is such a like you can't have a more modern film than this, really. Like this is what it is. And I think that all ties into it like thematically and also the visuals, like we were talking about how it all sort of connects together. I think that makes sense. So I think it's an intentional choice from what I can guess. I've not read into it. But yeah, it's definitely noticeable because of that fast pace, the action, the quick cuts, all of that. Yeah.
There was also a scene, which is why that thought popped into my mind, where we just had, so Bobby comes in, the Sergeant Boys have just done Soda Pop, which is still in my fucking head since both times of watching this movie, and Bobby's like flicking through TikTok and the shoulders are going, yeah, Jack's got the shoulder movement down pat for anyone who's listening to this. Then the comment is made that, oh, it's just the internet or it's just social media, it doesn't matter, and then he like picks up the phone again. It's like, that was interesting commentary. It was just, I found that really interesting. There's a couple of throws to social media in there and not being the be all and end all, but then having to reflect back and go back into social media, which is, again, a generational thing, in my opinion. So I thought that was quite clever.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, I love that, just the reference. Like, I'm actually curious how well this will age over time, because it is so specifically in today, not just in setting, but just in like culture and themes. But I mean, who knows? Maybe it will.
I wouldn't call it a modern classic, but who knows?
Too early, but we'll see. maybe it will be.
Or is it a flash in the pan?
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about let's talk about the music first before we jump into the animation. But so do you? Quick question for all of you: do you listen to K-pop? Is it kind of your thing, or?
Nope.
Nope.
I mean,
unanimous. Oh, you do.
If you ask Apple Music right now if I listen to K-pop, the answer is definitely yes.
The answer is yes.
I don't, but I did. Is it KDA who had a couple of League of Legends songs? Yeah,
their OG KDA League of Legends track was an absolute banger as well.
Those have
so good.
Definitely been floating around on my Spotify like songs for a couple of years now.
Yeah.
But normally, no, it's not normally something I would gravitate towards. I like the heavy metal or pop punk versions of them when they come out, but...
Yes, I want more information about that in a minute.
There's a little bit of commentary going around specifically about the fact of how KDA coded a lot of K-pop Demon Hunters is. And, people saying that Riot Games are kicking themselves for not doing this first.
You would.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't listen to it either. I mean, I don't listen to really pop music at all, but I haven't really listened to much of the soundtrack since watching the movie. I think for me, a lot of it is like the joy of it is having it all come together, and it elevates it in a way that on its own, if I was just to watch an animated film that didn't have the music that this does, in this way, it probably wouldn't have been as enjoyable. But conversely, like, I find it hard to listen to the music and enjoy it in the same way without the film. And I know that's just a me thing, but I did go back and listen to a couple of the songs just before recording today, and they're like, if you like that kind of thing, they're pretty good. They're pretty damn good.
They're catchy.
But I can't get over, like, going back to that opening scene and just how everything came together. Like, I got goosebumps at that scene as well. Like, that, it kind of blew me away, and it was partly the music, and partly the visuals and everything coming together and the story interweaving between it all. But like that soundtrack is just, I think the music is really what gave me the goosebumps there.
So as far as the soundtrack goes, what's really interesting is it was done in tandem with storyboarding, as in they would start storyboarding and say this is the sort of song that they want. And the company that they worked with that did the songs, I think they're called the Black Studio, something like that, or Studio Black, something along those lines, a famous K-pop production house. They would write a temporary song and then start adjusting and like creating new songs as the storyboarding changed before they even had like the story locked in, because obviously the songs are so closely linked to the storyline.
Yeah.
But they sort of had to do this weird sort of like back and forth where they'd sort of start doing the story, then start making a song, then they'd change a story, and then they'd have to make a new song, and like that collaboration has come up with something amazing. But I can imagine that it's probably the hardest aspect of creating this film.
I was
Imagine
just gonna
having
say,
to
that
like
sounds
do
like
2 and 3 after this. I've got to make it better.
although the budget will be even bigger, I suppose.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be challenging for sure. Like just on a storytelling perspective.
Yeah.
I also, and this is again just me reading a couple of fun facts, but I did read that that because obviously being an animated film, the choreography, like there is only choreography for the scenes that you see. They didn't actually choreograph the whole thing, which makes sense. But like also, it's one of those things that's like, oh, that's interesting.
Kind of related, the fact that it's K-pop at all wasn't guaranteed when they first started pre-production. Maggie Kang just knew she wanted to do a story about Korean mythology, and the K-pop aspect was like the last je ne sais quoi to be added to the idea of the story as they started going. So originally it was just like a kids movie about Korean demons and mythology.
Huh. I'm glad they didn't make that movie.
Yeah,
I mean, that sounds great too, but this was just a whole...
How they layered it
Whole
though
other
was,
level.
it was. I think they nailed it with the layering of the lore and then taking the creative liberties of that lore to create something that's a bit more relevant to pop culture.
Yeah. And it's because Maggie Kang was the main driving influence, right? She was the director writer. She is Korean American, and I believe born and raised in America, but has very strong cultural ties to Korea. And she really wanted to express like Korean culture, but it is still coming from that lens of, someone that was born and raised in America in the creative industry and stuff like that, which I found really interesting because some people have been a little bit critical about the surface level dive into Korean culture.
Right.
But her response has been like, hey, Korean is half of my culture.
Yeah.
Which sort of brings those influences. And then, we've got anime influences, Japan and everything as well.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's it. No, I think it towed that line really well, actually, because it's approachable and accessible for anyone who knows nothing about Korean mythology, and yet it celebrates it in that way. So yeah.
Yeah, I
There's
definitely
always going to be feedback.
Definitely learn more about Korean mythology and more about the K-pop industry. Like I kind of knew little bits and pieces. Like I knew that there was variety shows, but I didn't know how big they were. The variety show scene where they go down the slides in their leather. So originally that was going to be basically they've got something apparently it's huge in Korea that is the like K-pop idols basically doing their own Olympics. They do a whole bunch of like archery and sports and stuff, but they thought that was too niche for a broader audience because only Korea knows that that's really big in Korean pop industry. So originally that scene was going to be them competing with each other in sports.
Well, I wouldn't have believed that was a thing, so I guess they made a good choice there.
So that's the thing. Like I think they balanced it really well. Of like this is Korean culture, but still made it accessible to a wider audience.
The Squid Games probably won't be appropriate for this movie.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the animation then. The art style, the animation, all of that. What makes it so good. Michael, I know you're itching to talk about this, so why don't you kick us off?
Yeah. Well, just off the bat, animation is absolutely incredible. It's a beautiful mix of traditional 3D stuff with laid in 2D elements, which just, if you've seen the Mitchell's vs. Machines, the Spider-Verse movies, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle movie, like all that type of stuff has those elements, which just looks incredible. But the thing I absolutely love, and it's something that they did in the Spider-Verse films, and now you've seen the first Spider-Verse film, I can actually talk about it, and you can relate to what I'm about to say, is the choice on when to animate things on every second frame and when to animate things on every first frame. And it is done so well in this film as well, just like their previous films. For the most part, all the Huntrix team, and for the majority of the movie, everyone else is animated on 2s. And they made the amazing choice of putting the Saja boys being animated in ones. And
okay.
that's
cool.
It's perfect because it gives them this otherworldly feel, which they actually have. Because everything seems super real and super smooth, and you're just like, wow, they look so like weird for some reason. That's because they aren't animated like everyone else.
Yeah,
and it's
that's brilliant.
Yeah, it's a beautiful bit of storytelling like through the animation process. And I think I have to go double check this, but I'm pretty sure I did notice this. I have to, frame by frame and check. But I think when what is the song? When they're singing "Free" towards the end of the film, when Rumi starts to really break out, she transitions from being animated into twos into being animated into ones.
Interesting. Yeah.
Which is really, really, again, a really, really nice piece of like visual storytelling. And obviously, there's a ton of people that can't notice that difference. This is like, telling people to notice 30 FPS and 60 FPS in a video game.
Yeah.
For me, it's super obvious, and like I will like die on this hill to the end of time. And for some people are like, I don't understand what you're talking about. And I'm just like, well, straight into the trash heap with you. I never want to talk to you ever again.
I'm just going to show myself out. No idea what's happening right now.
But yeah, I think they do, an absolutely like amazing job. And I think like they've done a great job with taking these very traditionally animated facial expressions and translating them into this like 3D like world, because all the characters are so incredibly expressive throughout the entire film, depending on what's going on, especially in that first part of the film. I think they do so many amazing facial animations on the plane. It's just awesome.
One of my first comments was, "This is the most gifable movie in years."
Oh, definitely. I've dropped so many like K-pop Demon Hunters gifs over the past like few weeks. It's just incredible.
There was
oh, sorry, you go ahead, Jack.
So I was going to say, with just Sony Animation Studio in general, they have been taking huge swings, like the style of Into the Spider-Verse, adding that texture on top of the 3D modeling. Huge swing, huge hit. Same thing with K-pop Demon Hunters. I've watched a little bit of animators reacting to it, like people that know the industry better than I do talking about it. And they're talking about the fact that the idea of using a 2D style of face on those 3D models is not something that people have really tried to do before because they didn't think it would work, but they've made it work. And they even went so far as they were talking about they had to create a special tool so they could extend the facial expressions outside of the model of the head, because the system they were using couldn't do that. So they had to like specifically make a tool so they could be like, you can be as anime expressive as you want while remaining within the 3D universe of the where the head is situated.
Yeah, wow. Yeah. I was just reminded of like when I first watched it, and I messaged Michael afterwards to say, hey, I finally watched it. When I first like put it on and press play, I actually had this moment of like, is there something wrong with like the video? Because I noticed the animation style, and I was like, okay, I knew it was going to be one of two things. It was either something weird going on, or two, that was a choice. Now again, this is the first Sony Animation Studios movie that I watched. I hadn't watched the Spider-Verse films, so initially that was super noticeable, and then I completely forgot about it.
Yeah.
But now, after what you just said before, Michael, about how it was, on different like first frames or second frames, that makes a lot of sense now, because you can really tell. Like you notice it more by feel than anything, and I think even people that aren't really that familiar with animation, how it works, I think a lot of them might still get that feeling, even though you can't really comprehend what it's actually doing.
So it's so intriguing, right? Because like, this idea, so movies run in 24 frames a second, right? And so this idea of animating on twos, so realistically in a 24 frame second, there's only 12 updates of whatever is happening on screen. That's a choice that has just been made through animating over the past like 100 years, right? There's no reason why that needs to be that way.
Yeah.
But I'm intrigued to see what kids who haven't really experienced that growing up, because the majority of stuff that they would have watched would be 3D animated, which is majority animated on ones, like everything's super smooth.
Yeah.
If they would actually find that really, really jarring, Like for me, like the majority of the animated films I've seen in my entire life are animated on twos. So that's what animation looks like to me.
Sure.
You know what I mean? But I'd be intrigued to see if that's different for the younger audience.
I have a feeling, again, I'm just completely talking at my ass here, but I have a feeling that I think younger audiences are more familiar with the way frame rates work than anyone has ever been, than we were as kids, perhaps, just because, you've got kids uploading videos to YouTube now and they know what frame rate is and how that works. Their cameras work that way. So I have a feeling, I'm not saying super young kids, of course, but, teenagers, I think that's something that you could probably, that they probably have knowledge of that, at least somewhat. But I think even without that though, I think like it's a brilliant choice that they've made. But yeah, I did have that moment of just like, is there something wrong? Is it broken? Yeah, exactly. But I forgot about it completely. And then in comparison, and then we can talk about Spider-Verse a little bit, but just in terms of like the art style and the animation. So given the choice, like if you ask me which one do I prefer animation wise, it's Spider-Verse, Into the Spider-Verse, because the art style of that for me makes a lot of sense in that they've added like comic book elements, right? Mm-hmm. So there's a complete visual distinction there that makes sense because of the material that it's come from and what it's connected to. But what I really like about K-Pop Demon Hunters is that style that because it's part anime but not, it's like the 2D but 3D mishmash. But it kind of has, especially at the beginning, that stop motion effect because it's it's animated on two. So you can like it feels different. It initially felt completely different. And I think that's kind of what we need right now because everything's been really safe. So going back to what we're talking about with other animated studios, everyone's kind of doing the same thing. There's a real focus on sequels right now as well, apparently across like lots of, the studios.
Pixar's hot for it right now.
It's just, and I just don't care. But this was new and refreshing, so it had everything. It's got like the story is something relatable. It's modern. People can relate to it on that level. It's new and fresh, and then the animation as well, on top of everything else, is phenomenal and just so striking and different. So I think it kind of ticks all of those boxes. But yeah, that animation is just there's just something about that makes it work really, really, really well for this kind of story, especially. But I did like Spider-Verse more.
Yeah, it still wasn't a risk that they're willing to take outside of streaming, though, which is really sad. I think that's the big problem, is that this has been relegated to streaming because, let's not, like, beat around the bush. The title of the film, like, if you were to see that on a movie poster in, like, a cinema, you'd be like, what the hell is this garbage? Like, it's a weird title, but, like, it aptly describes exactly what's happening in the film. But yeah, it's one of those weird ones where like I don't know if this actually would have been a hit if this was released in films, in theaters.
Cinemas, yeah. I don't know either.
It's definitely got a certain type of magic being streamed and available the way
streaming.
That it is.
I agree. Yeah. I think that's had a lot to do with it.
Very accessible, so people can talk about it instantly, people are more willing to take a risk on it because they're not investing more money into it. They're already paying for their streaming service. Yeah.
Yep.
Before we move on from animation, just going back on what Jack was saying with the having to build a tool for the facial expressions to come out from their faces, I almost noped out at the doctor scene because I am so scared of Momo. Like, so scared of Momo. And the scene where he's like looking at each of the girls, his eyes pop out of his head, I was like, absolutely fucking not. I cannot do this. And then I can't remember the Miri, the redheaded girl, it's like gets in his face and it stops and it's like, thank you. I couldn't do one more of those.
No, her attitude got in there.
Yeah.
I love how distinct everyone is as well, by the way, just as an art style. Like they've really, done that really well.
Yeah.
Cool.
Great silhouette work.
Oh, just as a small little Easter egg, I noticed this when I was going through like looking at clips of the film. I can't remember exactly what scene it is, but there's a close up of oh my god, I'm blanked out on her name. Rumi's sword at the very beginning. I think it's towards the beginning, and she has these amazing patterns on her sword. Wink, wink. A little bit of a hint of to what's happening. But at the very tip of her sword towards the camera, it actually spells out her name at the very, very end. Like, it spells out Rumi, which I was like, oh, that's really neat.
I didn't notice
I'm sure
that.
there's heaps of those.
It's like when
Yeah.
people forget their lunchbox and it's like in marker. They've Sharpie the end of their sword so she knows it's hers.
In case she
Yeah,
forgets
just
the
in
one,
case.
she's the one that uses
That's
the sword.
right, yeah. Specifically Rumi's
Never know.
sword.
Well, there's all those celebrity parties that they have to go to and stuff. So, you know. I like how also it kind of touched on celebrity culture a little bit as well, and and what that is, but also in a way that where this trio gets to kind of call the shots. They're not kind of a slave to their record company telling them what to do. They get to they get to go sit on the couch if they want and get up and go put out a single if they want, that was kind of cool.
And the hustle culture of the industry.
Yeah.
Yeah. The most unrealistic thing of the entire show is that they get to eat as many carbs as they want.
Totally.
I love that though.
Demons,
But
real. K-pop
they gotta-
stars eating all those carbs, not a chance.
They got to burn those calories with the
That's a lot of
demon
work they
hunting
had
that
to
they got to
do.
do.
There's a great little bit at the beginning as well where right at the start she tells Bobby that they'll be there in 3 minutes, and it almost takes them exactly 3 minutes to land on the stage, which I think is great.
Yeah.
I love that so much. It's so punctual.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The ramen scene
sure
had
there's
me
heaps of those
giggling
little Easter
straight
eggs.
away.
Yeah.
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 Did you know? Because I didn't notice until probably like my third watching that scene when they realize that they're demons and they need to fight them in the plane, and one of them picks up the ramen to eat, and then Rumi grabs it and
It
points.
says it's 3
I
minutes.
didn't click. She's pointing that it says 3 minutes to cook
Yeah.
it. So she's like,
Yeah.
nope.
Put it down. Yeah, like, the humor
respect
there,
the
like it's
process.
so you can completely miss it though. So,
Yeah.
That's great. Apparently there was a scene, again, just me reading a little bit, with Rumi and I don't know her name, her guardian's name,
Celine.
who told her to hide.
Celine.
Yeah. That they completely deleted. I think they had a whole song that was supposed to take place when she faced her towards the end, to kind of say, hey, no, this is who I am. And you need to accept me the way that I am. And I think there was supposed to be a song there, but I think they got rid of it because it didn't quite fit the I guess the flow, the pace of the film, and maybe the themes as well. But it's kind of interesting to there might have been like a whole section there. I don't know how far in the production that they got, if they actually wrote it and animated it, but that they cut it completely. So I'm hoping we'll get like a extended cut or something. That'd be cool.
There's a really good behind the scenes thing that Netflix put out on their YouTube channel. It's like 6 or 7 minutes long. They show a lot of those like cut scenes and stuff like that.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
I know you're into those.
Yeah.
I need to watch more of those. I don't need to because I just talk to you.
Yeah, talk to me.
Yeah. Anything else? Anything we've missed that was worth mentioning?
Oh, there's plenty of things. I don't know how far you want me to go.
I was going to say, I've got more notes, but
Go for it.
with essence of time.
Again, one of the things that one of the animators pointed out about them taking risks, just the scene where they first see the Saja boys and their eyes turn into pineapples, she starts crying popcorn, and then Mira starts eating it. That is such a unnecessary random detail that makes the movie.
I just want to point out they turn into corn.
corn,
They
yeah.
don't turn into pineapples.
It looks like pineapples. But and they're mentioning like they just let the animators have fun.
Yeah, well, you can tell, right?
That's part of the charm
I think it's
of it.
yeah,
So
100%.
just having
I think
fun.
that's exactly those types of little choices that they've made is why it's resonating so much with people. Because they're seeing the references, the pop culture stuff that they love already reflected in this film.
I also love that, like, throughout the entire film, like, no one else seems to really know that, like, there's demons in the world and they're demon hunters. But, like, they put on these amazing shows and everyone just thinks that this is just incredible, like, effects that they've done, like, incredible stage production.
They're like flying in the air. I'm like, whoa.
So
that's
what, like
really cool.
the last like setup, then there's a massive like arena. There's the Saja boys going off. There's the Huntrix going off, and I'm like, what are they thinking is happening? Because this is like the most insane thing, but they're just all on board with it. It's awesome.
Yeah, it's kind of it's exactly what if you go to a concert, it's like you expect it to just go off and just be amazing. You're not even thinking about how is that even possible.
I'm just thinking of
It's
the
good social
wall of
commentary.
missing people, and everyone's like, yeah, let's go to a concert. And it's like, we've had more disappearances over the last 24 hours than we ever have. And they're like, hey, cool concert though. Let's go and do that.
Yeah, it was cool.
For
cool,
one
man.
song.
For one song.
Yeah.
just before we close off, we talked a lot about the Huntrix and the girls, but the Saja boys coming back to like that duality and that tie-in to Korean folklore is that Saja itself has a dual meaning. So it means, lion, which they put on their invitations to
logo.
Yeah, the logo is the lion. But that first scene where we see them, so I'm gonna butcher the pronunciation, so I'm so sorry, but it's Jeosong Saja is the Grim Reaper. It's part of the Grim Reaper folklore in Korea, where they wear black cloaks and those wide brim hats. So I thought that was a really cool tie-in to the actual mythology that they have in the country. Within that first sort of 5 minutes, we get to see almost that dual meaning. We get the mythology first, and then we get introduced to the lion aspect of it later, which I thought was really cool.
Yeah, 100%. I love how like everything is obviously so well thought out because, of course, you don't want to spend money animating stuff that you're not going to then use. So everything has to be super intentional. But I think this goes even above and beyond, right? Like more than usually what I'm used to, at least.
Yeah, definitely a labor of love for the creators.
Yeah, love that. There should be more of that. That's what makes it so good.
The other director, Kris.
Applehan something.
Kris Applehan, that's it. Because he just did, and this movie I think is one of Sony's misses. Sony Animation misses. He did the Wish Dragon, I think it was called, another Netflix animated movie. I mean, it's not a bad movie. It's not fantastic.
I don't even know what you're talking about. I don't think I've ever heard that before.
So it's another Sony Animations film that's it's not bad. It's just not fantastic like this or Spider-Verse, right? But he finished directing that and said, I'm going to take like at least a year off. Like, I just want to take a break. And then he heard about Maggie Kang doing this. He's like, oh no, I'm not taking a year off. I'm doing this because it's so fun. Like, he'd made enough money to take his time off, and he was like all set. And he's like, no, I need to be a part of this.
Yeah, nice. Yeah. No, I love that. Anything that where, especially where creators get to kind of have free reign a little bit and really make it special. I think that's where the magic comes in across the board.
And there's been a lot of discussion between like how Sony Animation Studios is like, beating Pixar and Disney in all the latest animated films. And I think it just comes down to Disney isn't taking risks and Sony is letting them take risks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm definitely seeing that. I mean, after watching Into the Spider-Verse and half of Across the Spider-Verse, like the animation is just something else. Like I've never seen anything quite like that, and you can tell that they're treading new ground, and they've done it here as well. So
they let what was he, like a 12 or 13-year-old kid do a section of Lego animation for one of the Spider-Verse films.
Oh, I've seen that little Lego scene.
Yeah, that
really?
little Lego scene. That was a kid that used to do stop motion Lego stuff on YouTube, and they hired him to do. Yeah,
yeah, it's amazing.
Wow. Okay, we're going to talk about that more when I've watched the whole thing. But yeah, I've seen that scene. Is that
the next discussion?
Yeah.
I have to go and watch all the Spider-Man movies.
Yeah, you have to.
I mean, again, we could do another whole podcast on it for sure.
Once the first one comes out next year.
2027.
Oh,
that's
no.
right.
Yeah.
Whole year to wait.
Welcome to hell. While we've been talking, I found that frame in the movie. I've pasted it in the Discord so you can see her name on the tip of the sword.
Nice. We'll put that in the show notes. Awesome. Yeah, well, look, I just wanted to, just before we close out, I just wanted to sort of reiterate, I guess, how this film is so special. And I think it's just super relevant. I think it has, those cultural references. I think it has these characters that are just adorable and lovable and so great. Also, it doesn't make fun of the audience either. Like, it kind of, I think that's important because I think a lot of movies kind of do that, and a lot of material does that. But it was, it was a joke with the audience rather than at their expense.
You're invited to have fun almost than just.
Yeah.
I want to say, really hard to do with how much they show fandom in the movie.
Yes, exactly. Exactly right. Because that could have easily gone south.
Yeah, like jokes about shipping the characters and stuff like that. Like, that could very easily feel pointed at the audience, but it doesn't.
Yeah, it celebrates if you've got little, knowledge of any of the references, like it celebrates that rather than,
Before we start, I have to, there's one reference in it which I had no idea about, but hearing someone talk about, if I understood the reference, it would be the greatest thing ever. The scene where they do the Korean meet cute, like where they bump into each other and it goes into slow-mo, very classic Korean meet cute opening scene. The music that's playing in the background of that is the music that's playing in the meet cute of a K-drama series that's a romance starring the guy who voices Genu. So
wow.
if you were into K-dramas, I saw a YouTuber talking like, I had no idea. My wife started screaming when the music started playing because it's like famous that this music is related to him bumping into like a love interest.
Yeah, wow.
Timely.
Yeah, yeah. That's fun. Cute.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice.
I do love that you get to hear the Genu's voice actor sing for like the very small bit at the very beginning of the film. He has a beautiful voice, so intrigued they didn't let him sing for the entire role, but whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, wow.
It's like Zac Efron on High School Musical all over again. We'll see it in the second one.
That was a long time ago now.
Yeah.
Oof.
Yeah, we're old.
Cool.
We've established this.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. That was the intro. Cool. Well, I hope everyone else enjoyed the discussion as much as we did, because yeah, I could talk about this as well. I now I just want to go and watch it again for the second time, so I might go do that afterwards.
I might. I told Ryan before this I was going to watch it 5 times. Maybe I'll go watch it my 5th time now.
I'm just curious now of like, you know, all the little things that we've talked about, like picking up on that stuff, because I think it is very rewatchable, more than, because I'm not a big rewatcher of things. But
Yeah, neither
I
am
feel
I.
like, yeah.
Me either.
Was that sarcasm? I was
Let
gonna
me just
say.
move out of the way.
So I might go watch that after this. But yeah, thank you so much for watching or listening to today's episode, and thanks for joining us, Michael and Jack. It's always great to have you on the show, and please do come on back. Especially, I think we'll have to do an episode on the Spider-Verse movies. I think that might be our assigned,
Hell
maybe
yeah.
my assigned homework.
I've got 7 movies to watch.
There's so many little things I want to talk to you about it, but like they're legit spoilers, so I'm like, oh,
Yes.
I have to wait till you finish.
You have to wait. You have to wait. So we'll have links to everything we talked about, especially for the rewatch play, in the show notes, and some of the references there as well. You can find the show at Genre Blender Podcast on YouTube and in your podcast player of choice. You can also find everything we post and publish on genreblender.net. You'll find our social media links as well. Jack, where can everyone find you online?
Generally, I use the username Giant Jack Mac. TikTok, Instagram, things like that. Find me there.
Awesome. And how about you, Michael?
You can find me at Subelement on Blue Sky, and you can find me as one of the adorable 4 people on the Bookcast if you also want to listen to Nintendo things.
Also very relevant right now. I'm going to play some DK.
So hard right now.
Cool.
Well, thanks for having us on.
To do the outro. I forgot my cue. Sorry, everyone. I'm getting there. I was like, yeah, I'm just like singing Soda Pop in my head.
Yeah, do not edit this out. Just stay in the final cut.
Ryan has done me dirty with
see.
gifts before, so that's fine. All right, to all the world hoppers out there, we wish you safe travels, and we'll catch you in the next episode where I think Ryan and I are talking about the picture of Dorian Gray. So a little bit more serious, but until then, see ya.
See you all.
Bye, everyone.